Hail, water spouts, a tornado, lightning, flooding. What is going on? Problems continue to plague an already rain-soaked state. Guess what? It's not over yet. Good evening, everybody. I'm Teri Okita. Keahi Tucker has the night off. Well, what a day. Many Windward Oahu homes damaged by rain, and also from what the National Weather Service says was a tornado that swept across Lanikai, portions of Enchanted Lake, and Keolu Hills. For the latest on weather conditions developing around the state, let's go straight to Guy Hoggy. Guy, what do you got for us? Wow, well, Jim, thank you. That first twister then continued its path of destruction into the nearby Enchanted Lake area. It pulled down trees, ripped off roofs, and almost a stop sign, too. The twisting storm ended its path of destruction up in the Keolu Hills area. Ramsey Wharton picks up the story from there. Isn't that crazy? Well, that twister did the most damage, but other unusual phenomena contributed to the wild morning on the windward side. Brooks Bear was up early with his camera. He continues our team coverage. Brooks.
Yeah.
The storm damage on the windward side includes substantial flooding. A foot of water soaked several homes in a Kaneohe neighborhood. To Tim Sakahara we go with those details. Okay, deep breath. Our coverage isn't over yet. After the break, more on how you can get some state help if you were affected by the storm.
Good evening, I'm Keahi Tucker.
And I'm Teri Okita. In a move to reveal the seal's secrets of the deep, scientists are attracting critter cams and attaching them to the animals to show what really happens when they interact with fishermen. Well, late this afternoon, we learned an Oahu man has been fined $1,000 for harassing a monk seal. The state says 19-year-old Travis Kane illegally landed on Manana Island, also known as Rabbit Island, and began throwing rocks at a seal. This happened back in January, and the state says someone even photographed him doing it. In addition to the $1,000 fine, Kane has been ordered to serve 80 hours community service. Nope. Do you feel like that sometimes? Many of us don't need to be told we are more stressed than ever, but now scientists have the data to prove it. Right, so we've all decided that we are stressed out here. Well, this study done in 1983, 2006, and 2009 by researchers at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh is considered the first ever historical comparison of stress levels nationwide. More than 6,300 people participated. Well, for the first time in 30 years, Sea Life Park has a new exhibit, and it's fit for the kings of the ocean. Our Ramsey Wharton dove in to give us a look. The park unveiled its brand new shark tank, and visitors will sure get quite a thrill. Checking out Ramsey there. The $500,000 exhibit lets visitors get up close and personal with a handful of sharks, all with the proper gear, of course. Yeah, visitors can experience the Shark Trek for $100. But first, the latest on the cop arrested for his alleged role in a marijuana growing operation. Patrol officer Michael Chu walked out of federal court this afternoon without having to put up bail money. Brooks Bear joins us now with the latest. Brooks, what's going on? Welcome back. Panic struck people in Indonesia today after two huge earthquakes shook the Indian Ocean. Fortunately, there were no fatalities and only minor damage, unlike the devastating quake in 2004 that killed 230,000 people. Since then, technology has gotten much better. The scientists in Hawaii were able to send out warnings to the region in 6 minutes instead of 20. And officials knew within 30 minutes that this was not the type of earthquake that would have a damaging tsunami. This week is so exciting. Hawaii News Now is proud to be your stop for the Merry Monarch Festival. The competition starts tomorrow, but Keahi Tucker joins us from Hilo's Edith Kanakaole Stadium with lots of hula at this free exhibition, right, Keahi? So for us, we can't get there. Give us a sense of the energy in that stadium right now.
Oh, it's terrific.
The red carpet right here, this is the photo wall. This is the photo op where all the stars, the celebrities, will walk down the red carpet. This is where you do not want to trip, right? And this is where all the still photographers are going to be taking their pictures as they come down the red carpet. We've already seen a couple of celebrities arrive. And then as we walk down the red carpet, check it out. This is where all the videographers, the national, international, and local media are all lined up. You're seeing Michelle Borth right now being interviewed. She is playing Alex O'Loughlin's love interest this year. And check it out, there's Masioka as well doing a lot of the interviews on the red carpet. They're actually the first to arrive, but we're going to be seeing lots of them as this hour and a half goes on. The view is awesome, Keahi and Tanya, and I got to say, you know, 2 years ago at this time, when season 1 was just starting, we were talking about the rebooted version of Hawaii Five-0 and whether or not this show was going to stay authentic and keep the integrity of the Hawaiian culture and Hawaii in it while paying homage to the original, but kind of carving out its own niche. And you know what? 2 years later, we're not talking about the rebooted version anymore. We're just talking about season 3 of Hawaii Five-0. So I think that's a real testament to what this show has done and what the creators as well as the cast and crew have done with Hawaii Five-0 in the 3 seasons or the 2.5 seasons as we go into season 3 that it's been on the air. I think that they should be very proud of all of that. And now, let's go down the red carpet one last time to Sean and Stephanie. Right now, the great north door to Westminster Abbey is open and some of the guests have already begun to arrive, including the diplomatic corps. We are told that at about 11:15 Hawaii time, the bridegroom, Prince William, and his best man, Prince Harry, will arrive here. And as you know, Hawaii is the only state in the nation that can claim royalty as part of its history. And the British and the Hawaiian monarchies had a strong relationship that dated back all the way to King Kamehameha the Great.
The splendor of this royal wedding lies half a world away, but every day in Hawaii, we're surrounded by bits of Britain. The Union Jack's prominence on our flag, a palace fashioned in the same grandeur as England's royal residences. And just take a drive down Beretania Street, a derivative of Britannia.
This close relationship that the British monarchy had with the Hawaiian kingdom actually dates back to Kamehameha the Great's time.
The King's deal with Captain George Vancouver allowed Great Britain to become a protectorate of the kingdom. But Hawaii's monarchs yearned for a more formal alliance. So in 1824, King Kamehameha II and Queen Kamamalu arrived in London to meet with King George. The royal party created a sensation wherever they went, including this depiction in a West End theater. The joy, however, was short-lived. The royals contracted the measles, and less than 2 months after arriving in England, the king and queen died.
Their bodies were returned to Hawaii by the HMS Blonde by the British government.
In 1843, the British actually occupied the islands for several months, led by a rogue sea captain. But King Kamehameha III sent word to London of the occupation, and power was quickly restored. The event prompted the king to utter what would become Hawaii's motto, Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness.
The wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton takes place at Westminster Abbey in London. But did you know that after King Kamehameha III dedicated Kauai'ahao Church in 1842, it soon became known as the Westminster Abbey of the Pacific?
The Kamehameha dynasty continued to cultivate ties. In 1849, Alexander Liholiho, who would later become Kamehameha IV, and his brother Lot, the 5th ruler, went to England on a diplomatic mission.
And while they were there, that's where they became more enamored of British and Great Britain.
The tie between these two kingdoms was about to get much tighter.
In our next half hour, we'll tell you about 2 queens from very different worlds who became lifelong friends. That's coming up. But in the meantime, the crowds here are growing, the excitement is building, the day has finally arrived. Reporting from London, I'm Teri Okita, Hawaii News Now.
Because Iraqis were forced to vote for Saddam Hussein in puppet elections, this is the first time in decades that their vote will really count. And they've got dozens of candidates and parties to choose from.
For many
of the world's 1 billion Catholics, Pope John Paul is the only pontiff they've ever known, and they're following his recovery very closely. American and British soldiers are advancing quickly north through Iraq, some finding no resistance, some encountering huge, significant numbers of defectors, and some meeting with hostile fire. There are estimates the troops could reach Baghdad within the next 3 or 4 days. The President of the United States coming to Mexico means a lot to the people of this small town and nearby cities, and they're hoping a partnership between the two new leaders will help spur their economy. More than 30 potential vaccines, most targeting antibodies, have been tested, but so far none has been successful. Scientists are hoping this one, which deals with what they call killer T cells, will help put an end to this epidemic. As soon as the white smoke appeared, there was a mad dash to get into St. Peter's Square. Tens of thousands of pilgrims and tourists literally running to get a spot to see the new pope. 40 to 50,000 Israeli soldiers and 20,000 Israeli police are at the ready in case violence breaks out. Troops will again go door to door tomorrow, and on Wednesday, settlers must be out or they will be forcibly removed. In Ashkelon, Israel, near the Gaza Strip, I'm Teri Okita. Now back to you.
This is the happiest day for us.
Tahira Shuber wanted her 3 children close by on this historic day to experience firsthand the possibilities of democracy.
We want them to live in a freedom, to live a free, not in the dark, not in suffering.
Ibrahim Mahdi will never be able to talk about this new Iraq with his children, but even frailty couldn't keep the 72-year-old from giving a voice to lost loved ones.
Yeah, he said that we all wish to see such a day, and I lost 2 sons like 20 years ago. They took them, Saddam's regime took them away, and I don't know where they are till now.
Because Iraqis were forced to vote for Saddam Hussein in puppet elections, this is the first time in decades that their vote will really count, and they've got dozens of candidates and parties to choose from. One of those moderate candidates is Aziz Al-Tayel, who says Iraq has been reborn.
Everybody has spoken for the Iraqi people, the superpowers, the regional powers, but now today we, the Iraqi people, we are speaking for ourselves.
Like many candidates, Al-Tayel kept a low profile when campaigning for fear insurgents would target him. Terrorists did unleash a wave of deadly attacks, including several suicide bombings. Dozens were killed, and some polling places in Sunni Muslim strongholds remained shuttered because of the violence. Even so, election officials say voter turnout far exceeded expectations. Teri Okita, CBS News, Baghdad.
How long have you had?
30-year-old Margaret doesn't have long to live. She's among the 2 million Kenyans who have HIV or AIDS, and she's already lost 2 children to the disease. Scientists are scrambling to find a cure, or at least a vaccine for this national disaster. And they're looking in a most unusual place. Salome Kokutona has been a prostitute in Nairobi slums for almost 20 years. But for some reason, she's never contracted the AIDS virus.
I'm glad that I'm HIV negative, but I pray to my God that He'll keep me negative throughout.
Scientists have been tracking Salome and several other prostitutes for 15 years. What they found was, even after exposure to HIV, these women were resistant. So they began looking at the sex workers' DNA makeup to create a vaccine.
More than 30 potential vaccines, most targeting antibodies, have been tested, but so far none has been successful. Scientists are hoping this one, which deals with what they call killer T cells, will help put an end to this epidemic.
To test the vaccine inspired by the prostitutes, scientists have launched a clinical trial, and they remain hopeful about their research.
People talk about sex workers. This is like the throwaway society, isn't it? It's quite interesting where discoveries can come from, very unexpected.
Salome says she's proud of her small contribution towards ending this deadly epidemic. For Margaret, hope is fading, but the vaccine could save millions of others in Kenya and possibly around the world. Teri Okita, CBS News, Kenya.